Alright. So, for the first part, we're going to go through the technique that I did in my fight. Who's like the warmest out of you two? Connor? I'll borrow you. Okay, so let's quickly start with this guy, right? Come in nice and close. So I'd like to jump on your back over here. Come on this side. So, my opponent in my fight, he had the right idea by getting me to the cage, right? But where he stuffed up was, he didn't get my head to the cage. So what I mean by that is like, I was here, my hand was on the back of his head. He picked me up and he walked me over to the cage here. If he held me like this and my back, like my head was directly on the cage like this is very hard for me to build a base up and come up. It's very uncomfortable. So if he had me like this would have benefited him a lot. But what happened was, as soon as he got me towards the cage, he angled himself like this. Okay, let's swap one sec. By angling himself, let's just get this way. By angling himself, he gave me the opportunity to use the cage and build up a frame. From this position, I can come up onto a forearm. I can put my back to the cage, and there's no pain in my neck. Whereas if I'm straight like this, and he's leaning towards me, there's a lot of pressure on my neck. So building something up, building a frame is very difficult. So I use this opportunity to fully angle myself like this, okay? In saying that, in MMA obviously, you want to keep everything nice and tight. This distance here isn't too good. This allows him to punch me. So I was keeping everything contrite and looking for control around his triceps and biceps. So I used my foot on the wall to just angle myself, and I kept my elbow nice and tight to his pocket here. Now, in an MMA context for a pro fight, I adjusted a little bit differently, but he had his hands across my face. If there was elbows, this would have been very bad, because this short amount of distance, all he needs to cut me. But because he needed to punch, I just put my hands on the tricep, right? Even if he lifted his arm up, I've got enough time to just keep control with him. But if it was a pro fight and it was MMA, like in a pro fight context, he would have slid that elbow across and cut me open. But essentially, you're looking for connection with the individual here. So even if it's with the elbow or just the hand on the tricep, this is more than enough. He had his head pretty low at the start, okay? Now here guys, when you got your foot on the wall, I don't want you to use the wall and like straight away get your hips off the ground. If you do this, the individual's gonna feel that you're trying to do something. So, all I want you to do is to make sure that the foot is on the wall, the elbow has a connection with this part of the arm, and you've got this tricep grip here, okay? Even if you want to put this hand in the back of the head, that's fine too. As soon as this person postures up, they're going to create the space for you. I'm not forcing anything by pushing Connor. If I force stuff, that's putting more effort into everything, right? I want him to make the move, and I want to put him in, like chess, I want to put him in checkmate, okay? So when he's here, what the partner's going to do is they're going to look to come up onto their feet. As they come up onto their feet, look at this space that's just here. All I want you to do is, as soon as you feel this, you're going to use your foot on the wall to put your hips into your partner and chuck your leg over your partner's face. Notice how the grip of my arm didn't change. I just kept my elbow into my pocket. From here, I just want you to flare your hips forward and nothing else. So two things will happen. Either I'll finish from this position here, or if I keep on going and try to resist, I'll end up in a belly down formation to where Connor's flat, or to a position where he'll fall on his ass, which is what my opponent did. So as I flared forward, he fell back like this, right? I'm still nice and tight, my hips are off the ground. I can still finish it. If it feels weird, all you do is you just quickly readjust the thumb line here. But him defending from this position, he can't utilize his legs, and even if he tried to use his hands to chuck my leg over his face, he can't because it's so tight. I'm using my whole lower half to keep it tight. Again, as I said, as you go to flare hips, another thing that will happen is that they'll go belly down here. Again, this is a great position to finish the arm. Alright? So let's go through it one more time. We're going to be in a guard position against the wall. Control the head and just use your elbow against your partner's tricep, controlling like just a type of connection. Your foot's going to go on the wall and you're going to angle yourself slightly. Okay? You're not picking yourself up yet. The partner is going to stand up, and as they stand up and create the space, all you're going to do is you're going to chuck the leg over and extend your hips. And one of the three reactions are going to happen. Okay? Is there any questions before we proceed on? Alright, let's go through that first part. See how you guys do. 3, 2, 1. Alright,
5 rounds in.
All right. So some of you felt it. If you do it correctly, it's really, really tight, especially if you get that elbow connection. Okay. But some of you, when you're doing it, you're a bit too loose. So I'm just going to show you an option to where if they go to posture up and you're a bit loose, another scenario that can happen. Okay. So Connor, I'll borrow you. So if I don't have that elbow connection, it's not too tight, I still do the same thing. Now I cut that angle and he's looking to posture up. This leg here, as I said earlier, needs to be nice and tight. If it's loose, two things will happen. He'll either be able to just push it down and like step over, or when I go to do anything and he postures up, even if I go for like an armbar for example, there's too much space, okay? So by having this leg up, let's say I go for the armbar and I feel like it's too loose and it's starting to escape that elbow line. All I want you to do is we're now going to use the secondary leg. When we go use the secondary leg, as you go to chuck it over, I want you to kick your legs this way. Two things will happen. It's going to destroy your balance and posture, and B, it's going to open up the omoplata. So when I'm here, I'm going to look to kick this way, and then I can set up the omoplata. So one more time. Pinch, you just posture up. I'm here. Even if you don't want to attack the omoplata, because his body weight's gone in that position, I want you to keep it loose, and now you can come up and start smacking from here. Okay, but in a jiu-jitsu context, obviously, omoplata. One more time. So that's like the plan B. That's why I want that leg to stay nice and tight. Go for the armbar, that's the A plan. You go to posture up. Omoplata, if you don't want the omoplata, come up. Strike. Questions?
Can you go through the sub on my pod?
Yeah, sure. So when I'm here, I've got a couple of options. From here, I can bring my leg back and grab the tricep to stay extra tight, or I can keep the hands on the hip and walk myself this way to flatten Connor out. When I flatten him out a bit more, boom. From here, I should be able to finish. Because A, he can't build up and like muscle me out, and I'm stronger than him. But, go back. From here, if I'm like this, I grab the tricep, I pull it nice and tight, and I just lean towards the other shoulder. Okay. Any other questions? All right, last one, 3, 2, 1.